we're starting. Solve by factoring is the lesson we're getting through today. Well, I wanted to show you what factored form was. So this is number 1. Write it down. We have the quantity x and 2 times the quantity x minus 9. Kind of looks like a 4. That's a 9. Equals 0. So when you have something like this already set up in factored form, I want to remind you what our zero product property is. That's how we know what to do with this, because if something times something else equals 0, the only way to get that is that either A equals 0 or B equals 0. So because of that, we're going to use the same setup here to solve for this. So we have x plus 2 times x minus 9 equals 0. Well, x plus 2 is our A. So we have x plus 2 equals 0. And then x minus 9 is our B. So we have or x minus 9 equals 0. And then we have our two solutions. We subtract 2 and we get x equals negative 2. Darker. Or we add 9 and then x equals positive 9. So those two solutions, or those two x-intercepts, are negative 2 and 9. So x equals negative 2 comma 9 is another way you'll see it. Two solutions. I want you to pause the video and then hit play for number 2. I want you to give it a shot. Same idea. Solve by factoring. It's already in factored form. All right. After you hit play, watch this. So we have 3x minus 2 equaling 0, or 4x plus 8 equaling 0, and you just solve those two. So I'm going to go over here to do that, but you can continue on your notebook over here. So 3x minus 2 equals 0, we add 2, and divide by 3. So yes, annoyingly, but it exists, you can absolutely have fractions as your x-intercepts. And then the other one, we have 4x plus 8 equals 0. Subtract 8, divide by 4, and x equals negative 2. So you have two solutions, either x equals 2/3 or negative 2. Usually I put the negative first, not that you can even see that. So I just rewrote this with a comma in between x equaling each of these. And the only thing to make this even better would be to have that or all the way through. All right, so that's if it's already in factored form. Now I'm going to show you if it's not and it's set up in an equation, which you've already really learned this, so it's going to be okay. So say we have solve x squared plus 9x equals negative 20, and that's an equation right there. I have to solve it. So when it says solve, that means I need like x equals. That's my unknown. My unknown is x. So I start by having the equation equal to 0. So you add 20 to each side, and you get x squared plus 9x plus 20 equals 0. Then from there, factor, right? We know how to factor. This isn't new. Factor. So because we're factoring, we're thinking what multiplies to 20 but adds to 9? Our a value is 1, so we don't have to worry about the starting coefficient of either of those binomials. So what multiplies to 20 but adds to 9? 4 times 5 is 20, and 4 plus 5 is 9. Sweet. So that means this would multiply back out to this. And now we're in factored form, so we can solve. So we set this up as x plus 4 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0. And then you have your two solutions, x equals negative 4 or x equals negative 5. So that's our two x-intercepts. It goes through the x-axis at negative 4 and negative 5. I want you to try the next two, number 4 and number 5 here. Pause the video, hit play when you're done. So I have x squared plus 16x plus 64 equals 0. So I need to turn this into factored form already. It's already equaling 0. So all I got to do is find what multiplies. It's going to be really small here. You can move it closer. What multiplies to 64 but adds to 16? X plus 8 times x plus 8 equals 0. Notice they're the same thing, so it really doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to get x plus 8 equals 0. Subtract 8 from both sides, and x equals negative 8. So that's your answer. It's your only solution. So your only x-intercept is 1, that x-axis, that at negative 8 on the x-axis, that u. All right, sweet. Number 5. So this one, I don't have it equaling 0, so I have to subtract 64 from both sides. I'm going to write up here So I have x squared minus 12x minus 64 equaling 0. So because of that setup, again, I have no a value, so I'm just thinking what multiplies to a negative 64, one positive, one negative, and adds to negative 12. So I'm looking at negative 64, and you go through the list until you find the winner of 4 times negative 16 will add to negative 12 and multiply to negative 64, and then you have your two solutions, x plus 4 equals 0, or x minus 16 equals 0, giving yourself negative 4 and positive 16 as your two answers. Beautiful. Nice work.